Hey, we're going to get started here in just a couple of minutes. So let me see if you guys can see my screen. Oh, that's not the one. This guy. So, can you guys hear me okay? Can you see my screen? Okay. Somebody please. Yes, can hear and see your screen. Thank you. Get this where I can see it. Kareem. Good to see you. Pete, good to see you here. Okay. Well, anyway, we'll get started here in just a couple of minutes. Just a few people on so far. And happy Thanksgiving in advance to you too. I'm looking forward to a quiet weekend running Traffic Factory campaigns. I'm way behind on my traffic campaigns. My own, as in for myself. Let me set my... Oh, Karen wants to join the webinar. Sure, just 1 minute, Karen. Trying to do this on my phone. Bear with me, please. Okay. And now I'm on Do Not Disturb, so my Skype messages won't pop up while we're hanging around. So what we're going to do is, I had a suggestion in the group this morning. We're going to do a geo campaign. Go over geos in general. It's what we're going to actually do here. So we're going to fire up our awards campaign and probably just do a whole bunch of cities in the U.S. Okay. Okay. I'm going to give it a couple more minutes if some more folks show up. So I'm going to step away and be right back. Alrighty. Oh, and we're being recorded. How nice. I just now noticed that. I thought I was going to turn it on. Anyway, okay. I guess we'll go ahead and get started. Let's start from the beginning here. And what we'll do is one of the download files on your training document is a geolocation zip file. So if you download that and then just extract it, and we're going to extract it right to the desktop. Oh, apparently I already had it done, but that's okay. We'll just redo it. That's fine and dandy. Here it is right here. So this is, okay, this actually has a few more files in it than the one that gets distributed. I've got some of my custom stuff in here. It's what it looks like. But anyway, you will have all these text files as well. And tell you what, let's just do this. Let's do it again so that there's not confusion. But I will tell you how you can get your own or make your own geolocation files. There are databases all over the internet that have okay. Where did you put it? Silly thing. Oh, okay. Let's put it up here. That's fine. Move it over here. Anyway, this is the file that is distributed. So basically, what I did here to get these files put together is I just did searches for lists of U.S. cities, database or downloads, world cities, and in this case, we have 6,500, the top 6,500 world cities by population. Just one moment. Sorry, I had a little distraction there. Anyway, so all I did was I went and searched for the databases and found them and extracted what I was looking for. So that's how I got all these cities and postcodes for Canada, Australia, United Kingdom. I found a list of all the U.S. counties. Okay, so that and these files are fairly large. This is a 3,144 counties in the U.S. So you could just run a campaign by counties. In fact, maybe that's what we'll do today with the towards campaign. The other thing we have here is we have this little file called job. Now, this is an interesting file because within it, it has more files for each state. Okay, it's got city, state, and zip, and a short city code. So you can use these in combination. Okay, so you would have in your short code or in your traffic factory, we could use keyword in city, state. Let's use the big state, and zip. Do right. So this would give us a whatever our keyword was in Beverly Hills, California, 90210. I don't know why I always use that. I guess because of that, everybody seems to recognize that. Anyway, So that these files, if you look at these individually, okay, let's do this. We'll take the city, the state, and the zip for Arizona, and we'll open them in okay. So we've got, okay, where are we? These files are in sequence. Okay, that's not the one I want. I want the zip. So if you look at entry number 1, is basically Cave Creek, Arizona 85120. Chandler, Arizona 85323. So they are sequenced such that you have one entry for each zip code in this case, because you're going to have, in some of these, you're going to have multiple oh, how about that? It doesn't have much in the way of multiple city names. The bigger ones, California, for example, will have multiple entries for Los Angeles, for example. So that allows you to do the same kind of thing in lockstep using those job files. But we're not gonna do that today. We're gonna do something just a little simpler than that. What we're gonna do is we're gonna take our geolocations, and you need to use these. You need to move the file that you're going to use as your geo file into, or copy or move it into your input folder for your project. So let's do 2,500 top cities. This is going to be United States 2,500 top cities. I'm going to copy it over here, and I'm just going to rename it location, loc.txt, loc.txt, for simplicity's sake. Okay, so what that does a couple of things. It allows me to use this short code, and if I want to change out 29,000 cities. This file, by the way, has 29,000 cities in the United States. That's all I could find. This is 7,000. It's actually more than that. Cities and states. City and state. We'll put it in Notepad so you can see how big it is. 6,821. Okay, so it's just city in short code. But the way, since I'm using loc, okay, as my shortcode over here in Traffic Factory, okay, I'm going to use loc. So if I do that, then all I have to do is replace the geo file in the warts directory and copy it over and just rename it to loc, and I don't have to make any changes here to my content. If I use loc, and I can insert it here as well. Okay, and to not make mistakes, I'll just go ahead and copy it. And we'll add it as well in here with our H1 tag. Okay, and then we'll also go into our markup to our Dublin core, and we'll add it in here as well. And we'll also change our coverage down here from worldwide to our location. Now, here's the way Traffic Factory functions when we're doing this. And the way it works is the big number wins, okay? So we did 2,500 US cities in our LOC file for this run. So if this keyword text file has one keyword in it. Let's see what we've got, just to see. I've got these all set up in these shortcuts. Okay, so this thing's got 500 and some odd lines in it. So let's make it, let's just take one. That's not what I'm looking for. Let's just grab a keyword. How to, I don't know. These are my favorite keywords here. This is all Wartrawl stuff. So let's open up another keyword file. There's our 244,000 keywords. That's always a fun one to start with. And we'll take, we'll do one for dogs. So that's going to be our keyword. So we're going to do one, select all these, delete them, and that's going to be our keyword file. And I've already set up my bucket name, okay, and my site name. So my site name and my bucket name shows up over here in my markup. Here and here, and it would also be used obviously on the deployment. So we'll go ahead and deploy this, and we need to clean out our output. And let that run real quick. And so we should get, now that big number is because I referenced some other files in there that have some other data in it, but we're going to get, we should get 2,500 for the one keyword. And I haven't the foggiest idea what happened here. I literally have never seen this before. So let's see what ended up over here. Oh, everything ended up over here. This is the latest version, beta, by the way. So everything over here seems fine. Okay. Dogs in Alameda, California. Alameda, California. And we could put a map in down here if we wanted to. Showed you guys how to use the map embeds without needing the API key. That's on another video that's available in the training doc. So let's take a look at, sorry about the confusion on the output there, but that caught me off guard. Okay, so then there's our coverage, Alameda, California. Looking for dogs, Alameda, California. So as you see, you basically just use a single, you can use a single keyword and as many locations as you want. You can use a lot of keywords in a single location, or you can use a lot of keywords in a lot of locations. And again, remember that the big number wins. The way Traffic Factory works is the big number always wins. So if you've got a larger number of keywords than locations, you're going to get a page for every keyword. If you have a larger number of locations and keywords, you're going to get locations that reuse some of the keywords. And in fact, that's the way it works. If you have, let's say you have 100 keywords and 1,000 locations, you're going to get 10 pages for each location, each one using one of the keywords. So basically, you'd be building 10 pages with 10 different keywords and 100 locations in that scenario. I didn't really have anything else to go over. This latest update of Traffic Factory, which is out this morning, just did a little cleanup on some of the sitemap situations, the video sitemaps and the image sitemaps. There was nothing wrong with what was being generated, but in some cases the generations were failing. So we went in and made the code a little more forgiving, shall we say. So you guys feel like doing a little bit of Q&A? Where did, oh, here we go. Sorry, I'm trying to get this. I'm still not very good with this. Okay. So I'm going to go back up to the top here, and okay, I'll address this case here for Mike. You're having trouble with Content Factory, inserted Christmas trees for sale, and got articles about chamoyas. Interesting. I'm not sure what chamoyas are, honestly. With Content Factory, the shorter the keywords that you use, the better. Simply because Content Factory is gonna go out and get some suggested keywords for you, come back with maybe a few hundred for you then to choose from to run the articles with. So a long keyword like Christmas trees for sale may or may not pick up anything. And obviously in this case it did not. So when in doubt, use the shorter keywords and then look at the results that you can choose from for generating articles. State is missing the .text extension. Kareem, and was it something I was doing or what else? I'm not sure. It's supposed to be state.text. Yes, it is supposed to be state.text. Okay, I was being corrected. Very good. No problem. So we can do something similar if we go to a more granular level, i.e. neighborhoods. Yes, you can go down to the neighborhood level. There are a couple of places that you can search for neighborhoods. I found stuff down to the mobile home park level, but you get all kinds of things. Basically, it seems you get anything that's got any kind of a registered neighborhood association. It's what it seems to do. But yes, you can. How did I generate geo-relevance for location? Lulu, I guess if you could use your location in more places in your content, if I'm understanding you correctly. But normally I just use the titles and the other tags that I'm using in the schema or things of that nature. Pete, need to create a S3 bucket before running Traffic Factory. No, you don't have to, Pete. Traffic Factory will create the bucket for you from the name that you input. We'll show you that real quick. Just need to get Traffic Factory back on. You guys can't see the questions window, but I can. Was overlaying something. So I'll have to clean this out again just because we're good guys. And we'll start again. And this time we'll add it to S3. Okay, so this would be the bucket name. Okay. In this case, I wouldn't use a shortcode. I would actually copy the bucket name and insert it here. Okay, but I already have one of these. And then at that point, you would also select the region where you wanted to build that bucket. So geo, not niche. Your niche, I mean, your niche is, for me, my niche kind of drives my geos. If I've got a product that's only available in Canada, for example, well, then I will only build for Canadian locations. Um, if I was to do something for a local business, then I would go as wide as I could within that geo. For example, you're looking for neighborhoods, going in and looking at neighborhoods, so on and so forth, so that you had additional files. To create your own, you can, I'm sure everybody here realizes that you can create your own shortcode file just by collecting data and sticking it in one line at a time, whether it's titles or keywords or geolocations or whatever. Um, um, does it make a sitemap now for dummy upload? No, it doesn't, Ian. We need to add an area for you to input the domain name that where the sitemap is going to be uploaded. Right now, it's done when we create the bucket, whether we're doing it for S3 or for Azure. So we can deduce what our bucket or what our the domain portion of the URL is going to be for the sitemap. So we need to do that for you. One way that you can one way that you can do it with the software as it is now is you can run and upload to, for example, up to S3, and then you take the data and replace the S3 domain name in those files to whatever domain name you're going to use ultimately, and then upload the results of the build to a local domain or other hosted domain, and then update the sitemaps to reflect that domain name change. But that's a mess. We don't want you to have to do that, so we are going to provide that facility in one of our upcoming builds, which it shouldn't take too long for us to do that. What order would you create Traffic Factory pages? In other words, what's more powerful at first? Lots of locations with one keyword title, or lots of keywords for one location? Chicken and egg, I think there, Mike. I don't think one is better than the other off the top of my head. If you're doing, I would be more prone to go with lots of keywords, whether you were doing it for one location or multiple locations, simply because the more keywords you use, the more opportunity you have to rank for broader, longer tail queries. So that would be the only consideration there, in my mind, Mike. Does leaving the existing output folder cause conflict or something? I wonder why I need to delete it if the existing has a different name to new one being made. I ran into some problems when I was doing a lot of local runs. And what I was doing was I was just doing my rinse and repeat, changing out the keywords or changing out the location and then running another build. And I found that I was overlaying some things. That was a while back, but I still will stick by my statement that says, just keep them clean. If you want to hang on to them, just copy it, copy it off someplace else and zip it up or whatever. The other thing is that they tend to eat up disk space pretty fast. So if you're building big ones or building lots, you're going to eat up disk space. So it's a good idea to either archive them, zip them up, save space, and also it makes it easier to keep track of them if you want to do that. Okay, you're welcome, Mike. Are all all buckets top level to my S3 username, or are they created as folders under a selected bucket? Okay. We keep seeing this discussion, so let's see if I can make this a little more clear. What you're looking at with the domain name, in fact, let's tell you what, let's just take one of them. Let's just take one of them, and we'll take an easy one. We'll just take this one. Now, this is Azure, okay? But the same is true for S3, what I'm going to demonstrate here. Unfortunately, with Azure, we can't, we don't have the ability to change things around like we do with S3. So if we've got a domain name, let's see if I can stretch this out for us so you can see the whole thing. Okay, so in this situation, we've got the domain name, and let's pretend that this, well, I tell you what, let's make it S3, all right? Let's just make it S3.aw Amazon ws.com. Okay, so this is the way that we present the URLs when you do a build to S3, okay? You got the domain name, you got the bucket name, you got the category name, and then you've got the document name. Now, the other way that these can be built, and the way that we used to actually do it, is that we would actually, okay, excuse me, come on. Yeah, no kidding, you can't find that site. It doesn't exist. What we would do is we would take, or the way it was built, I should go back and correct myself, was this bucket name, or folder name, okay, it's just a folder name, was presented thusly. Now, these are logical representations of a domain name, okay? There's no physical structure. The physical structure would be this way, okay? Because this is a folder. But S3 creates a subdomain to this folder, okay? Which means that this works just as well as the other way. The reason that we made the change, okay, and remember, it's a physical representation of a logical thing, which is the domain name. The reason we made the change is that if you look at domain authority for a subdomain, it's got no juice. If you look at the domain authority for a full domain, in this case Amazon, or in the other case Azure, then this is where the juice is, okay? So we're passing better juice with this structure from the standpoint of indexing the links, okay? We want this structure to be seen when somebody sees the result in the search, okay? And we want the authority to flow this same way, ultimately through here, not ultimately through here, which is going to be a 0 as opposed to an 83. Okay, so you go 0, 0, 83. Woo, way we go. The other way that we had it, okay, you go 83, subdomain 0, 0 is what's going out the door. Okay, so that's why I made the change, and it's just, again, it's a logical change. You can access your S3 documents either way without making any changes to your S3 account, bucket or anything else. Okay? I don't know if that clarifies it, but good juju. Thank you. Okay. What kind of complex something? Okay, we did that. Top level S3, so many buckets or folders under a bucket, or i.e. bucket, Christmas tree, subfolders such as live. Okay, well, let's go back to this. We create a new bucket, okay, for each run, and this would be a bucket. The category would be a subfolder to this bucket, although this bucket is a subfolder to Amazon AWS. Okay, so you don't come back and build other sites within this bucket. Okay, one of the things that we're working on how to do is to be able to come back and build new categories within this bucket, which is why you can now update an existing bucket. Previously we didn't, that wasn't part of the, it wasn't what was allowed in the software, so we made that change. That's also true in Azure. Okay, now let's go back over here to Azure real quick, because you cannot change this. Okay, Azure does not make a subdomain for your, they're called containers, not buckets on Azure. So this is a container, this is a subfolder to the container with your category data in it. So you cannot move this up here like we do for, like we can with Amazon. Okay, there's no subfolder created. Okay, bucket name has already been taken. If the bucket name has already been taken and you don't own it, you will reject. Okay, Traffic Factory will refuse to build. They'll say there's, you know, it's already done, it's already taken. If you own it, Pete, if you own the bucket, if it's in your S3 account, and if you're using the same Amazon S3 account, okay, because you can have multiple S3 accounts. If you own the bucket, it will update it. It completely overwrites whatever's in the bucket, which is how you can add additional categories now. If you come back later and add additional categories. We're also working on how to ensure that specific pages that are built go into specific categories. That's a bigger animal that we have to deal with. Our countries often search, that's good for location keywords. Mike, in that situation, what we're doing is we're targeting the audience in a country. So we're telling Google this is Canadian, this is Australian, this is UK, and then plus, if you recall over here on our bucket build, if I'm running Australia, then I'm gonna be uploading. I'm going to be building my buckets in Sydney, there in Australia. Okay. Or Tokyo for Tokyo, Canada for Canada, EU. There's several different varieties, different endpoints there. So depending on what language or what closer to your location, it's where you want to be. You do want the region that is geographically closest to your content relevance. Okay, so Sydney, it's going to be the best one to use for Australia, for example. Let's see, you're referring to, oh, counties. Oh, Mike, I honestly, one of the things that I do know about searches, okay, and that is that 15% of the searches that are run every day, Google's never seen before. So do people search for counties? I'm sure they do. But it gives me as a content builder another level of geo relevance that this, this content is relevant to San Diego County. Okay, whether somebody searches for a house painter in San Diego County, I'm sure somebody does. And if I'm actually, let's say I'm looking for something in San Diego, but I'm someplace else. I want something, I'm looking for a mobile home park in San Diego County. I want to move or I'm looking for an RV park because I'm dragging my RV out to San Diego. And I don't know anything about San Diego, so I'm just looking around the county. I don't know. And I have to assume that people do. But nonetheless, it's another unique title that contains my keywords. Okay? That's my primary interest in geo. Okay? I use a variety of different combinations of geos just simply to generate more content. So I'll have a page for Los Angeles. I'll have a page for Los Angeles, California. I'll have a page for Los Angeles, California, and then one for every zip code in Los Angeles, possibly. Okay? So the content isn't specifically for that zip code because I'm selling wart removal all over the world. All I'm doing is giving myself another unique page name, bucket name. Okay? So it just provides me with more options for building more content. Okay. Yeah, that 15%, I never stopped thinking about that because I keep thinking about, well, got some really long old keywords stuck around in different places. I mean, if you look at some of the stuff I've got here in Words, I mean, there's some pretty long stuff. And, these are keywords that were found somewhere. I mean, it was a search that was done. Well, maybe not so much here. This looks like a combination of some stuff. Interesting. No telling what I did there, to be honest with you. I do some pretty weird stuff when I'm building keywords. These look pretty much like they were all real searches by somebody. Except I probably added like the 2018 and choice. So this is probably the actual keyword result. And I added the other two things just to make it unique. So somewhere in here you would find San Antonio now, or San Antonio fast, or San Antonio nearby. Okay, so essentially just the more unique keyword strings and titles, page names that you can build, the more exposure you get for your website. Okay, currently want to update with the new categories. Remove the old categories folder on PC so it doesn't add it to the categories list on the newly made index page. Will you be adding something so we can update and choose if we want to update existing category? Yeah, that would be the goal, Ian. Would be to be able to control precisely when we were just inserting new content into, say, a category, in which case we would need to update just the category index page. Okay. But yeah, all of those things ultimately are things that we aspire to build into Traffic Factory. Because of the flexibility that's already built into Traffic Factory, doing some things like that becomes a bigger job than if it was not as flexible as it is. I don't know if that makes sense, but from a programming standpoint, believe me, it's where the complications start to come into modifying existing programs. Please review, summarize the key benefits of using video and image sitemaps. Yes. Oh, yes. To summarize, video sitemaps. This is, I mean, I guess everybody thinks in terms of YouTube, but let's see, YouTube videos. Google loves itself, so Google loves YouTube. So if I'm embedding YouTube videos into my website and I give Google and Bing and everybody else a sitemap to look at. Let's see, let's open one up here. This sitemap has quite a bit of interesting information in it. Actually, you have to look at, we need to look at the raw code here to see what actually is all the things. But if you're building embeds for yourself, let's say you've got a video that you want to rank. Well, one of the things that this video sitemap does is it pulls the URL of the thumbnail, okay? Just right here. This is the thumbnail. This is a default thumbnail. You can tell by the name. That's generated by YouTube when the video was uploaded. Now, the videos in this campaign are just related to wart removal. So I don't own any of them. I don't control the thumbnail. But for your own videos, you should obviously have a custom thumbnail, and that thumbnail should be optimized as well. So if you embed your video in, let's say, 100, 200, 300,000 Traffic Factory pages, you got 300 some odd thousand links to your video, to your thumbnail, okay, that are within this video sitemap. So that gives Google another way to index and feed juice to and through your videos. And Google seems to index from video sitemaps very quickly, because it's also going to be going to the page where it's embedded. See here? This is a link to the page where this video is embedded. So it's also another link to the page to get it indexed. In fact, I showed last week, let's see if I can quickly, I don't think I have it up here. I don't, I'm sorry. I thought maybe I still had a Search Console up for the warts campaign. In fact, it's this one that we're looking at the sitemap for right here. Cure Warts at Home 2019. I uploaded it on the 18th of November, not quite 10 days ago. Whoops. And I submitted the sitemaps, all of them, these sitemaps, to go through Google Console. Google has, I'm over 100% indexed within just a couple of days by submitting these sitemaps directly into Google. So the sitemap definitely speeds up the indexing of your sites. Google finds links to itself that it loves and seems to give us some priority to those links. So that's why we built that in right away as soon as we could. Why don't you use or talk about using Google Cloud buckets or folders or whatever they call them? You know, that they are Google. Mike, well, we are working on adding Google Cloud buckets, folders to our to Traffic Factory so that we can upload directly to Google Cloud as well. There are some issues with building the Google Cloud repositories, for lack of a better word. Through Traffic Factory, and it's going to take us a little bit more longer than we anticipated to add it. So it's coming. So, but yeah, the one thing about the Google Cloud is that it's more expensive than Amazon S3 and Azure. So that's something to remain cognizant of. Some folks have gotten some surprising bills from Google recently. So be aware. But anyway, yeah, we are adding it. It's just it's a bigger job because of the requirements on Google's API end to generate storage areas within your Google account. So the other thing is, forever, and when I say forever, I mean since Traffic Factory and the other mass paid builders that I ever worked with before, everybody tries to hide from Google. Basically, you know, it's like nobody wants to provide Google with a footprint. So if you upload stuff to Google, Google knows. Google knows these all belong to you. These are all the same thing. And if it finds that one of them is a little spammy, it can easily find the rest of them and infect the other buckets, the other storage, you know, areas that you've got on Google Cloud. So that's something to also be aware of. When we're using S3, we're isolated to a certain extent from Google. So if I create another project that is Cure Warts at Home today instead of 2019, well, that Google doesn't necessarily pick up on the fact that today and 2019 belong to me, so they're not going to, you're not going to get the fallout from one to the other like you would if Google, you know, was able to figure out everything that you owned was in this one bucket. No, I don't like any of it, or I don't like part of it, so I'm not going to like any of it. So that's another thing to bear in mind. You get ads from a cloud group called Wasabi that is less expensive. Is that good? Or I guess their DA is important. I don't know about Wasabi. We're always looking for new clouds that we can upload to. So, Mike, whatever information you've got on Wasabi, send it over to me, and we will take a look at it. You know, we're open to everything. We're not doing Alibaba right now because nobody seemed to want to mess with it after working with it in some of the other products like Ranking Factory and Megastack or wherever that was. Anyway, so that hasn't been a priority either. But again, if we get a good one, and a good one is inexpensive, I mean, we're still talking, you know, in terms of making pages on the order of, you know, hundreds of thousands of pages. You know, when we talk about Traffic Factory and the ability that it has. So we try to keep the, you know, costs in mind. And like, to give you an idea, I've got 10 or 12, I'm guessing 10 or 12 Amazon S3 accounts. And I limit them to, I just use the 100 buckets that they give me and then get a new account. That way I get more free tier than if I put, say, 1,000 runs into one account, 1,000 buckets into one account. What you can do, you can ask them for, you know, more buckets in an account. But you get, there's a free tier every month with Amazon S3. So with 100 buckets, I get 100 times the free tier, or 100 accounts, I get 100 times the free tier. So bear that in mind. But I was going to tell you that with everything that I've built into S3, I think my S3 bill is currently running somewhere around $30 a month for all those accounts. I haven't been billed yet by Azure because I haven't been, I built a little bit in there with Ranking Factory, not enough to ever get billed. And now I'm starting to build in with Traffic Factory. So we'll see where the hit comes in. You probably want to keep an eye on it. They give you a $300 credit, I think, still when you open an account. So it'd be a bummer to get up to, you know, like $100 a month, and because you built a whole bunch of stuff and then you don't get billed for it for a couple of months, and all of a sudden, bam, you start getting billed $100 a month for Azure that you weren't expecting. So you need to monitor that for yourselves as well. Making a brand new account or adding to existing organization to get another account without existing. With Amazon S3, I use a different email address, but the same card. Now I'm going to show you a trick that works with Amazon. This works in some other places, but let's say I have let's do this. Yeah, I have a long email address. Okay, at whatever, doesn't matter. Now that's one email address. As far as Amazon's concerned, that's another email address. That's a third email address. I'm probably showing this to people who know better about this than I do, but that's another email address. So the point is that you can take an email address and just insert periods along the way, different places, and use the same card, debit card, credit card, whatever you have. You have to have a card to get signed up. So you don't have to have a whole bunch of different email addresses. You just need one long one you can stick periods in. So I hope that answers your question. With Azure, I'm not sure. I think with Azure you can just build new you can build new storage accounts. Okay, if we go back over here, if you look at this is the actual account. Okay, and if you use RFR Azure 1, okay, that's a Ranking Factory Revolutions Azure 1 is the name that I picked for it. Oops, didn't want to do that. So I think you can work with just one a Microsoft account and just build out new storage areas whenever you want to. So I probably, and you can pick, there's a bunch of different regions you can pick too. So be cognizant of the geo stuff there too. You might want to pick a European region and name your bucket, RFR Azul Euro 1 or something like that, or anyway, something generic that isn't going to, I wouldn't call it cure warts, okay? And then build a bunch of cure wart stuff inside there because that creates a footprint for Google to sniff around. I keep saying Google sniffing around. Well, we all know Google's sniffing around all the time. Send the bank verification depositing again to the same card details? No, they didn't do that. There was just the regular verification email that comes through. Verify your account. That was on Amazon. I was still talking about. All right, guys, we're just about an hour, and still a pretty good crowd. Anybody have any other questions before we wrap it up? Because I'm getting ready to spend Thanksgiving Day weekend running traffic factory campaigns. Like I said, I'm way behind for my own. Where do we put the image file? The image file is inside the main project folder. And then it just has a bunch of images in it that are selected randomly using the image shortcode that's in the what's done for you toward the bottom of the content. There's an image thing. I'll tell you what we'll do next week. We're going to go over how to some new things that I found with working with the extra content and turning the tag pages into content pages, and so that they rank as well. So if that's it for everybody, appreciate your time today. I actually enjoy doing this stuff every Wednesday, and we're going to keep on doing it as long as we have something to talk about. So thanks everybody, and if you're in the U.S., enjoy your Thanksgiving, If you're not in the U.S., enjoy the fact that a lot of us that are won't be bugging you for a few days probably. Okay. Bye-bye, everybody.